All right, so what we want to do today is get the fuel pump or the fuel sending unit out of this Ford Ranger. Currently, it'll turn over and it'll actually pop on starter fluid, but it's not getting any fuel. So we're going to pull the bed off, get to the tank, and see if we can either fix it or replace it. So on these trucks, it's easier to get to the fuel pump if you just take the bed off. It's pretty simple. There's 6 big screws, and I think they take a Torx 55 bit, and they come right off. Lift the bed off. There's one plug at the back you got to unplug for the lights, but that gives you easy access to the gas tank and the fuel pump. So this truck's a little interesting. It is a 4-cylinder. It's a 2.0 liter. And so it is not fuel injection, it's a carburetor. So if you look, I don't know if you can see it in the video, but there's only one fuel line coming into this fuel pump, and I'm having a little bit of hard time finding that actual fuel pump. But I'm gonna try to get this thing off by undoing this ring and get this fuel pump out and see if I can take a look at it. If it doesn't come out easy, then I'll probably just drop the whole tank and it'll be easier to fiddle with it. I may end up having to replace the whole tank anyway. So I'll see if I can undo it, and if not, then I'll take the tank out. So I'm just using a pair of channel locks to hold this strap because I don't want it twisting back and forth as I wrench on it. I've soaked it down with PB Blaster as well. The bolt for the front strap I can get to from just underneath. We've got a jack with a 2x4 supporting the tank for when it ultimately starts to come down. So again, I put some PB Blaster on it. Let's see if we can get it out of there. Oh, interestingly, the one on the other side was a 13 millimeter. I assumed this would be the same, but it's not. Let me go switch to a bigger socket. Let's see, this one is too big. That's it. The one on the other side is a 15 millimeter. So switch it. Okay, much easier to access it now. Of course, unfortunately, this has a full tank of gas that doesn't smell too great, so probably gonna drain it. But now I can clean out around this, I can clean out now around this ring, lock ring, spray some stuff around it. I can get to it a lot easier, so hopefully I'll be able to get this fuel pump out, because there's surface rust on this tank, and I could probably clean it off a little bit and spray it with some rust inhibitor, and I may be able to keep it, assuming that the inside isn't too bad. So I just kept tapping at that ring until it started to move. You can see it right there, and it finally came off. I'm going to clean it up. I'm going to drain the gas out of there and kind of assess whether it's worth saving or not. Okay. So this is the fuel pump out of that truck, and I'm pretty sure there's supposed to be a float on here that is not on there, which makes sense to why the gas gauge wasn't working. It's pretty rusty, and you can see that it only has one fuel line coming in, where the fuel injected ones have two lines coming in. And I had searched for these before and couldn't find them, but I did get the number off of here. It's maybe hard to see, but that is 7E57F-DC. So I'm gonna go online and Google that and see if I can find it. I'm draining the tank right now, but honestly, I think I'm probably just gonna replace it. It's not worth my time trying to clean it up. Yeah, so I'm draining the tank right now, and honestly, I think I'm just gonna order a new one. It's not worth my time to try to clean it up. I can tell that it's pretty rusty on probably the top third of it. I know you can clean them, but it takes time to do it. I think I can get them for $100 online, a new one, so I think I'm gonna do that. But I do need to get the gas out of it and dispose of that. So I've got it siphoning out into a gas can, and it's taking a long time. So I'm just gonna let that go on for a little bit, and go online and see if I can find this fuel pump. So I started thinking about what would be causing the truck not to get any gasoline. And because it's not fuel injected, it has a manual fuel pump, which is right here. I'm not willing to take it off yet, but what I do want to see is the line plugged. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take it off right here. This is the line coming in, just a simple screw clamp. I'm gonna take it off, and then I'm gonna go to the back and blow on the line and see if it's clogged. So here's the fuel line and where it connects. So I've got it detached from the front. I'm gonna blow on this line and see if it's clear. If you think about it, because it's a manual fuel pump, there's only one line coming in. This doesn't really there's no pump actually in the tank. It had this screen on and I took it off. It's pretty cruddy. What I'm gonna do is plug it back in and see, does this actually work if it had a float on it. So I'm just gonna go ahead and reconnect it. It's just a 2-pin connection. It snaps in. And then if the tank was full, the float would float up. So when I turn the car on, if it's still working, it should show that there's gas in the tank, even though there is no tank. So I don't even have to turn the car on. Turn it over, I just gotta turn it on. So it engages, and the gas gauge is going up. So the gauge actually works. It just, with the float missing, there's nothing to lift that little arm up to tell you that there's gas in there. So with the truck, we know that the sending unit, or at least the gas gauge, would work if it had a float on it. I actually checked in the tank and there was no float even in there. I thought I might find it, but it obviously just deteriorated, rusted, and completely just dissolved in there. I blew out the lines, so I know those aren't clogged. So I'm gonna need to check the manual fuel pump, pull it out, see if the diaphragm in it is got a hole in it, and maybe just replace it all together.